Don't harass anyone shown in the video, don't be a creep, and take this with a grain of salt. It's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it at all. I encourage y'all to do your own research. This is meant to be a lighthearted video on what I and some of my friends have noticed over the past years of art fight. Hello, it's Ray, and in today's video we will be discussing the differences between art fight now and then. There is a larger thesis to this video, and I got some help with the script, and honestly I cannot be more thankful for my lovely friend Kat for helping me come through this all. So I do hope y'all stay until the end to hear me out. Please don't crucify me. I've noticed that in recent years, art fair has become a competition of who can raw dog the most art in 1 month, which is an unethical and untrue way of viewing the event due to the spirit of art fight. The spirit being having fun with your art, and that being misinterpreted by your artist joining and thinking of it as any other social media out there. This can be traced back to the effect social media algorithms have had on art fight, which creates a cult-like mentality. The artist community has been really badly affected by social media algorithms, especially over the past few years. Ask any artist online today and they'll tell you just how badly it affects them. It's not great. Places like TikTok have promoted the mentality that engagement and fame are the end goals of art. Artists are pushed to create fan art, stick to a consistent posting schedule, and so on, even at the expense of their own mental health. Becoming famous online can even ruin an artist's career. We see that with both positive and negative attention. TikTok art lore, for example. It's mostly used to trash beginner artists, as these incredibly nitpicky and criticizing videos go viral. Even praised, skilled artists tend to hate their own art after becoming famous, no matter how much fun they had before. Fame and attention can be inconsistent, and these famous artists can end up being hated. Colleen is a well-known example of someone who started being loved by the internet only for their art to stagnate, and eventually become hated. Even for those who don't become famous, the effect of algorithmic social media can ripple through the artistic community. This push to create engagement can cause art to be seen as a product to worship in our capitalistic society. Artists, especially beginning artists, often idolize famous creators. Famous artists are ringleaders of the artistic community, and because they adopt harmful practices in order to stay famous, they influence the artists who follow them to hunt engagement the same way. This means that as soon as an artist joins the online community, they are immediately surrounded by engagement hunting practices that may be harmful. For example, for several years there has been a worrying trend of beginning artists focusing on how recognizable and how reproducible their art is instead of discovering what makes them happy or what causes them to improve. Beginner artists are forced to develop their art to serve their audience instead of creating something that is fulfilling to them. Being forgotten by the algorithm is seen as death. Artists can become afraid of a lack of engagement, which leads them to constantly chase fame, even if their mental health tanks as a result. Overall, new artists are taught to treat their art as a brand. This may be why beginner artists are constantly worried about having a specific art style. They may fear experimenting with new mediums or drawing new characters. This isn't to blame famous artists, or those who want to achieve fame. In fact, many artists don't want to be stuck in this loop. However, artists need to eat, and they cannot get to work if no one looks at their art. It's a vicious cycle. Art Fight is one of the few websites left that doesn't have an algorithm built into the site. Finding new artists to follow or characters to draw is as simple as refreshing the newest tab or using a randomized tag search. However, even this algorithm-free platform isn't safe from all the fame-obsessed artistic community. Art Fight was originally made back in 2007 by user Blanket for a small amount of participants. Later on, user Chronicle Artists developed the site, later passed on to another artist who keeps it running. It started back in 2016 and it's been going since. Art Fight had a small team of developers and was originally meant for a small amount of users. This meant that more of a community could develop around the event. It was more exclusive. I joined back in Team Bloom, so 2021-ish. I found a little joy in it. Back then I had to put a lot of work on my art, but it was fun. I felt like I knew who was attacking me. There was no pressure to constantly be attacking bigger users. Of course, bigger artists were a part of it, but it's never been to this level that it is now. It's sad to see. I found a community of people who didn't know who I was and just thought my art was cool. Now it's lacking that. It's a notable change that actively sours Art Fight. A social media mindset has ruined the art community aspect of Art Fight. Like in most other artist spaces, it's hard to feel connected to the artistic community through Art Fight. Heavy advertising doesn't happen on Art Fight. It's unlike Instagram or TikTok. It's something entirely new. It has heart. It's made by artists for artists. However, new artists go into the art fight community expecting it to be like any other social media. When they come into art fight with this mindset, they can make it hard to participate in. They contribute to an overall bad environment. On other websites, there is a lack of engagement between small or new artists and the overall community. Because everyone is chasing fame, no one is contributing meaningful content. Artists aren't allowed to interact meaningfully with their audience. They can become blinded by numbers, only wanting more and more interactions. This sounds pretty vague, but can have massive widespread effects. When it comes to art fight, this lack of meaningful content can create a soulless community. Art fight is, in essence, the ultimate numbers game. It can be easy to fall into a cycle of validation seeking. Everyone wants someone to notice them and draw their character. Ideally, this would be achieved by greater community interaction. When you recognize that everyone wants to be recognized in some way, you can find happiness in making other artists happy. Maybe it's about putting real effort into attacks, realizing that all anyone wants is cool character art. Or it could be really appreciating the attacks you get, seeing the person behind the art and understanding how much time and effort they put into the pieces. It's a fame-obsessed, engagement-chasing world. So this isn't the norm, and it's very evident in the new wave of artists joining art fight. There's a trend of new art fight participants thinking they can get away with not interacting with the community at all. They demand high-quality art without considering how much time it takes, thinking of it like a product that is factory-produced for them. When they do attack, it's so that someone will revenge them. Newer artists also bring this cult-like mentality into art fight. Obviously, famous artists translate their fame onto art fight because of their large following. They can get huge amounts of attacks, with newer artists competing for their attention. You can see it when you find their profile with an overbalanced attack ratio, something like 2%. It overwhelms the famous artist, and the small artist doesn't get anything out of it. We end up with this cycle of younger artists being left out, bullied out of the space due to this wanting to be noticed by bigger artists. It takes the heart and fun out of it. There's also an opposite problem where artists want to be famous, so that they get loads of attacks. I spoke about this with my editor, Kat. She admitted herself to being affected by this line of thinking. It's a fear of being unseen by the algorithm, or by bigger artists. This whole mindset undermines the real spirit of art fight. Drawing shit you like. You aren't drawing that indie animator characters because you like them. You're doing it because it's an indie animator and you want to get noticed by them. There's a disconnect between the real community of art fight and the popular mindset of artists today. Because artists are afraid of interacting with the community in ways that aren't fame chasing. They end up hurting people around them. No one wins. With that, there's no denying social media has affected it. Now, you may be wondering, what can you do? The good news is that you can reverse this mentality in yourself, and you don't have to do much either. Drawing as smaller artist characters, or looking at characters that appeal to you. Draw what you want to draw. Put less pressure on yourself to be noticed. It's a big, huge art trade, so have fun with it. Truly, high quality attacks aren't everything. Don't be afraid to get a small sketch. Dude, you're getting art for free. What's to nitpick? What's to judge? What I'm trying to say here is, social media shouldn't dictate how you view your art. It's subjective for a reason. An algorithm shouldn't stop you from enjoying art in the process of making it. As artists, we have to recognize the inherent value of something you drew yourself. You might as well spend the time drawing things you like. Trying to conform a general standard takes all the personality and fun away from it. All that to say, it high-key isn't that big of a deal. We've all been affected by this at some point. Validation is such a human thing. Of course you want to get noticed by someone you look up to, and for them to attack back. I remember being a younger artist and seeing these massive artists with so many likes. Those classic how to grow your social media tips videos. Once upon a time, I was kinda known in a community on Amino. My post got a lot of likes and comments. I had a lot of people who heard me out and saw my projects. However, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with what I was making. I wasn't happy with who I was. It showed in my art. How hard I tried to copy the general style. At the end of I felt burnout. These algorithms are the reason why so many artists end up quitting. The constant supply and demand of art, the generalization of it. It boils down art to something that it isn't. The algorithms don't matter that much. They're not worth your time or your art. You will not be happy. So it's better for you to do something that makes you happy. The point that I'm trying to make here is enjoy your art. Because the inherent value that it has outweighs anything you could get by getting that big artist to comment on your post or getting that artist to draw your characters. Value yourself. Value the effort you put into this. Because your art does have some value to it, even if people don't see it. It has value to you. It has value to the people who you share it with. And as corny as it sounds, that should be enough. Art wasn't meant to comfort people. Art was meant to challenge societal views and tell a story. But I don't know. I'm just some guy on the internet. that being said, thank you so much for hearing me out. I'd love to see y'all's opinions in the comments, and even if it's just fucking two people discussing what they think of this, I'm more than happy to for you to respond, because this is something that interests me. Even though I've lost a lot of passion for art fight, I still want to see it flourish. I still want to see what comes out of it at the end of the year. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video, subscribe, all that fun stuff.